Today we're going to be building the Sensei knife kit, KK534BL. We're going to be using Padauk pre-machined handle scales in 3/16 inch steel pin stock. Of course, you can use other handle materials and other pin stocks should you so decide. First thing we're going to do is take it out of the box. You'll notice that it comes with the bolsters, and it also comes with the pins for the bolsters. However, the handle pin stock, which again is the 3/16, you'll need to purchase separately. Now you'll note that the holes are not set up straight across on these bolsters. So the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of put them on there and see which one goes on which side so you can do a little dry fit. You would hate to put epoxy on these things and then figure out that they're angled the wrong direction. So make sure that you figure out which side they need to go on. Now for safety, let's go ahead and tape up the blade. This will help prevent us from getting cut, as these blades on these kits are fairly sharp, so you don't want to cut yourself while you're working. This also helps protect the blade as well from getting scratched or damaged while you're working on it. One thing to make sure of is down at the tang end of the blade, make sure that you don't get your blue tape down to where your bolsters are going to go. As you can see, we've just kind of pushed it out of the way a little bit. Now we're going to mix our epoxy so that we can go ahead and put our bolsters on. This has got to be done first. You don't want to put the bolsters and the handles on at the same time because you want to make sure that the bolsters are in place first. Once we've got one bolster in or on, we're going to go ahead and drop the pins in, and then we're going to turn it over and we will put the bolster on the other side. And then next we'll just clamp it down. Want to make sure and get some good, even, firm pressure on it. And then we'll let the epoxy cure. Now, even though we epoxied the bolsters on, we still want to go ahead and peen the pins. What the peening does is it expands the pin inside the hole. It just gives a little bit more security for holding everything together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get ready to put our scales on so that we can drill them. Make sure you know which side of the scale you want facing out. Make sure that it's completely butted up against the bolster and that you've got some meat around the other three sides, and then you can just tape it on. This holds it into place, which makes it easier when you're drilling it. Now we're going to clamp it down and drill it. And then we'll turn it and we'll drill the second hole. It's also an option here if you prefer. Assuming that you've got the spaces, you can go ahead and put your pin in your first hole so that you don't get any shifting. It's a little bit more difficult on this particular kit because of where we put the clamp. And then you're just going to repeat this whole process with the scale that's going on the other side. Once we've gotten that completed, we're going to mix up a new batch of epoxy and put it on our handles. You don't need to put a lot. You want it nice in covering everything, but it doesn't need to be globbed on too much. The more that you put on, the more that you're going to have to clean up later. It's not that big of a deal because you are going to be sanding it down and grinding it, but if you can make a little bit less of a mess for yourself, all the better. And once we've got our handle scales on there, we're going to go ahead and put our pin stock in. And then we're going to clamp the handle scales down so that we can let that epoxy cure. Again, the important thing is to make sure that you get even pressure across the scales. As you can see here, some of the epoxy that squeezed out of the hole kind of stuck to the clamp. So that's no big deal. You just wiggle it because, again, we're going to sand all this off, so all that will go away. It won't be a problem. Now we're going to go ahead and peen our pin stock, just like we did on the bolsters. About the only time this wouldn't apply is if you're using a mosaic pin stock. You're not going to peen the mosaic pin stock because you'll damage the decorative portion of it that you can actually see on the ends. And then we're going to go ahead and sand it down. You're going to start with a pretty coarse grit sanding belt, and then you're going to work your way to finer grit. That would be the same thing even if you're hand sanding or using a block or anything like that. Just make sure as you go along, you go slow. Now, as you can see, sometimes your belt can get really dirty and gunked up. When it does, and it tends not to sand quite as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to throw the sanding belt away. A lot of times the belt is still good, it just needs to be cleaned. We do offer a sanding belt cleaner. As you can see, you just hold it right up against the belt and it takes all that stuff off of it and you get some more life out of it. So as you're going, be sure to kind of feel the handle, make sure everything's going the way that you want it to. Again, the most important thing is to take it slow and easy. Because remember, once you've taken metal or wood away, you can never put it back. And you notice that we're also working on the bolster here too, and that's because where those pins go in, you want to make it look completely seamless. When you're done, you really don't even want to be able to see that there are pins in there at all. So this is what our finished kit looks like. We'd like to see what your finished kit looks like. So if you build this kit, go ahead and send us a picture, or even better, you can send it to us and we'll film it for you and put it up on our website for the world to see. If you like this kit and want to build it, we have a project item list here as well. And then you can go right to the website at knifekits.com and pick it up. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe to our channel as we've got a lot more to come. Thanks for watching.